Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I'm Rex Nelson, senior editor of the Democrat Gazette, and proud to have Randy Zook from the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce, a man that can probably talk better than anyone about the Arkansas economy. I'm going to build you up at least, Randy.
I'll take it.
All right. Good deal. Because before we taped, we were sitting here talking, there is a lot going on. Let's talk about, for starters, 2.7 statewide unemployment rate. I never thought I would see such a thing in Arkansas.
It almost shouldn't even be on the chart, but it's absolutely crazy and incredible and wonderful in a lot of ways, and a real major challenge in other ways. It's causing lots of.
I was going to say it is good and it is bad because, and I know I tend to be an optimist by nature. People who know me know I'm a glass half full guy, and I tend to write columns that way. But we're going to walk through some of them. But there is still so much going on and it's not just one area of the state anymore. It's not just Northwest. It's not just Central. It's all over Arkansas right now. But I know you have said, for decades, I grew up in this state, and the whole economic development mantra. I mean, back when we called it industrial development, was we got to have more jobs. We got to have more jobs. We got to have more jobs. It seems to me, and I know you've basically said this, we've got jobs right now. We got to find people to fill those jobs.
We got to have people who are prepared to take the jobs and keep the jobs, people who are ready to engage. If you believe the Bureau of Labor Statistics, we've got 97,000 open jobs in Arkansas today.
Unbelievable.
It's just amazing to even talk about a number of that scale. But if they're wrong by 10%, 15%, it's still 80,000, 90,000 jobs that companies can't fill, businesses can't fill.
And would love to fill right now. The other side of that coin, a record low unemployment rate of 2.7%, yet what's known as the workforce participation rate is also low, and we've got to find a way to get that up. In other words, there are a lot of people who should have a job right now who aren't even looking for work, right?
Well, that's when you peel the onion, that's when you get to the root cause of why we've got so many open jobs, is that we've got somewhere around 60 to 70,000 people in Arkansas who are in prime working age in their lives, namely from 16 to 59, according to the official counts. 16 to 59 is considered the prime working cohort. Mm-hmm. In that group, we're 6 percentage points below the national average on the participation rate. Do that math, and it's about 70,000 people who are between 16 and 59 who are not working, not looking for work, not drawing unemployment, not disabled, not in college, not in prison, simply on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. That's a big number. So there's about 60 or 70,000 that could go a long way in filling those 80 or 90,000 open jobs and would have a measurable impact on the health of the economy if they were to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you are doing a lot in working with state agencies, federal agencies, and others, but you're doing a lot at the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce when it comes to workforce training, when it comes to getting ready for the kind of jobs we now have in the 21st century. Talk some about your efforts at the Chamber right now.
Sure. We've got one program that's our centerpiece, and is now in 5 other states as well, but it's called Be Pro, Be Proud. It's basically two mobile workshops. This is a truck with a 53-foot trailer, both of them tricked out with virtual reality programming and simulators, video simulators, so that a person can come in and sit down and get a taste of what it's like to do some of these career opportunities that are going begging. Everything from utility linemen to welders to commercial truck drivers to railroad engineers to HVAC technicians to just you name it. There are about 16 of those total, and we don't even do anything related to healthcare because that's such a big world in and of itself that we don't tackle that. So that's one thing we've done, and we've got that schedule booked solid, both trucks, in high schools where we take it to a school and we'll stay there all day or a couple of 3 days, depending on the school, and take kids through that and give them. It takes about an hour, hour and a half for a group, about 20 or 30 at a time, to get through it and taste each of those career fields. And it's having a profound impact to the point that, as I said, we've got 5 other states who have bought the license from us and have replicated the same thing. So we've got 2 trucks in North Carolina, 1 in South Carolina, 1 in Georgia, 1 in Tennessee starting next month, and 1 in New Mexico. And we're pretty close to a deal with Texas, which would be that would be a totally different dimension.
Yeah,
but
absolutely
anyway,
would.
This is really exciting.
A whole nother country, as those arrogant people like my wife, who's a native Texan, likes to say. Yeah.
It is another country, for sure. But anyway, that's one thing we're doing.
Yeah.
And secondly, we're helping educators, teachers, counselors to connect with companies, with businesses, because the message to businesses is this is not going to get any better anytime soon. So you're going to have to find a way to attract and retain talent in order to operate your business effectively and competitively. And that's going to spell the difference between success and failure for lots of businesses over the next 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
We've simply got to create a more talented workforce, and the companies are the ones that are going to benefit from it and are going to have to invest in it, and they're doing so.
I know at the state level we've got a workforce cabinet now. We're trying to put more focus on that. Is state government moving in the right direction right now, in your opinion?
Absolutely, and at full tilt. Mike Rogers is the new chief workforce officer for the state. All of the agencies that Secretary of Commerce Hugh McDonald has, DWS, Office of Skills Development, all of those folks are tuning up and tuning in as to how to go about reaching kids and communicating the degree of and the attractiveness of these career opportunities that require something after high school, but not necessarily a 2-year or a 4-year degree. Something post-secondary, absolutely. And first of all, graduate from high school.
Exactly.
That's step one. And then secondly, it's a matter of jumping into a career opportunity and putting your best effort into it, and the rewards are there. They're substantial. It's very common to see people in their early to mid-20s that are high 5-figure, low 6-figure income earners that have never darkened the door of a 4-year institution. I'm not arguing that people choose this instead of that. There are lots of career fields that require.
I was going to say it. My argument is we need more of all of them. We need more of these people, but we need more bachelor's degrees. We need more master's degrees. We need more PhDs.
We need more of everything.
We got to have all of it. Yeah.
Yep. So that's the message.
Let's take a little tour around the state. We'll start up in Northwest Arkansas. In my speeches around the state, I may have invented a word because we've talked for so many years now about the Northwest Arkansas boom. But the word I'm using, I said, folks, the boom is getting boomier.
It's incredible.
A couple of examples there. Walmart, of course, is putting the finishing touches on a $1 billion with a B plus corporate campus that's going to be unlike anything, think Silicon Valley, unlike anything this part of the country has ever seen. Meanwhile, Tyson announces it's moving almost 1,000 high-paying white-collar jobs into Arkansas. Randy, I think that, and I had this discussion with a couple of friends at Tyson at the time, I think we have gotten so used to good news from Northwest Arkansas that story of those 1,000 white-collar employees was underplayed. That That is the equivalent of a huge corporate relocation to Arkansas, right?
That's exactly what it is.
It's like we landed a Fortune 500 company to move their headquarters.
That's exactly what it is. It's IBP, Iowa Beef Processors, and Hillshire Farms. Mm-hmm. Their corporate offices, one in Chicago, one in South Dakota, are now going to be in Springdale, Arkansas.
I mean, that's huge news for our state.
No kidding.
Yeah, that is huge news. So, you've got all of that going on the corporate side. We have got then on the cultural side, already one of the best art museums in the world's adding another 100,000 square feet. Now Alice Walton is opening her health institute, her own medical school. One of the hospital systems up there has now got an agreement with the Cleveland Clinic. And, I've heard people say that Alice wants Northwest Arkansas to be thought of like people now think of going to the Mayo Clinic or going to the Cleveland Clinic. And, seeing what she did with Crystal Bridges, I'm not putting it past her if that's where her focus is now.
If Alice puts her mind to it, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And
I could go on and on, but
look at
in Northwest Arkansas.
Look at the recreational investments that the Waltons and the foundation and corporate and everybody else has put into Northwest Arkansas. It's a booming, bona fide booming area.
Yeah, and more so than it's even been in the past now. Yeah.
Right, ranks in the top 10 of attractive places to live in the U.S. Low cost of living still, relatively speaking. Their biggest problem is infrastructure and housing. Mm-hmm. It's they can't build them fast enough.
Yeah.
Can't build roads fast enough. Can't build sewer systems fast enough. Water, everything. It's keeping up with the growth. That's their challenge.
Oh, I went recently. I'm, as you know, I'm an Arkansas history nerd among other things, and I had not been out to Prairie Grove Battlefield State Park for a while, and I went out there, and suddenly, and I know you've been out that way, all of those pastures I remember over those rolling hills are rooftops
Exactly
now.
Right.
Roof as far as the eye can see at Prairie Grove. Yeah.
And go west, out Farmington, out that way. It's just crazy what's going on.
Yeah, it really is. So that boom is getting boomier, but it is not confined to Northwest Arkansas. Let's move to Northeast Arkansas, where U.S. Steel is right now building what's going to be the most modern, efficient steel mill in the history of the world, going to be right here in Arkansas. They bought Big River Steel, so they'll have two facilities near Osceola. Of course, you've got the two big facilities, Nucor Yamato, near Blytheville. So 4 major steel plants, numerous other companies related to those there. I know those of us who are native Arkansans still, especially those of us, Randy, who are a little older, still have to pinch ourselves. Did we ever dream, back in the 60s, 70s, that one day you'd be able to say Arkansas is the steelmaking capital of America?
It's just crazy.
Isn't it, though? Take that, Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, Arkansas.
Yeah,
Mississippi County is going to be the leading steel-producing county in America.
Number 1 steel-producing county in the country. And the jobs that go with that are just absolutely mind-boggling.
Greit paying jobs,
great
benefits,
long-term wealth-building opportunities for every employee, 401ks. I mean, the entire package of just high-demand, high-wage employment opportunities just that are going begging, literally, because we can't find enough people in Arkansas who will go up there and jump into those opportunities. So we end up employing a lot of Western Tennesseans and a lot of Southern Missourians and a lot of Kentuckians that are taking jobs that I wish we could get more Kansans to pursue.
And you added the outdoor recreation in Northwest Arkansas and Northeast Arkansas. You and I, again, before we started taping, were having a conversation. I'm about to leave for the old company town of Wilson. They're near the steel mills in Mississippi County, where Galen Lawrence Jr., who is one of the largest landowners in America, grew up near Arkansas in the Boot Heel of Missouri. But he is literally, Randy, pouring millions and millions of dollars into that little town of Wilson. And it's going to be, from all I can tell from their drawings, one of the most upscale resorts in America in Northeast Arkansas.
Yeah, it's going to be a cloister. It's going to be a sea island on the Mississippi.
Yeah, a homestead, a Greenbrier. You think of those great resorts.
It's going to be
a Delta version of that.
A real treat.
Yeah. Very exciting.
And the construction projects, if you go add those all up around the state, you're looking at about $10 billion at least of capital investment projects that are underway right now in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Just you add all that up, and the construction jobs and the payrolls and the improvement in everything in the state, and it's just really exciting.
Yeah.
Internet.
And again, we're talking the Delta here, so it's not just Northwest Arkansas. I mean, I can go up into the hills around where you spend plenty of time, and go over to perhaps our most rural county, even Newton County, and you got Johnny Morris pouring millions of dollars into the old dog pack location. So you can go to your most rural county, can't you, and find investment now?
Look at the boat plants in
around Flippin.
Around Flippin and Mountain Home.
Yeah.
Just
mentions
everything in high tilt. That's all you can call it.
All right, Northwest, Northeast. Now let's move down to Fort Smith as we start to, as we tape this, the U.S. Marshals Museum is about to open. Have you been in there yet?
Have not been in the museum.
I toured it last week.
Got to do that.
I know it took a long time. It is a national class attraction.
Well, that's fabulous.
They did it first class, put it right up there with the Clinton Presidential Center, Crystal Bridges, the other top Arkansas attractions. But I've got some stories coming. But add to that, you talked about Fort Smith, which kind of traditionally was considered kind of our manufacturing city in Arkansas.
Still is.
Now the jobs are back there.
Yep.
You talked about that. We've got this fighter mission that's going to be the economic equivalent or greater of an automobile assembly plant. We've talked all these years in Arkansas about that. But I've seen the number thrown around that that could have an economic impact of $1 billion a year or more on the Fort
I think
Smith
it'll be
area.
every bit of $1 billion, probably more. The capital investment on the Fort Smith Airport site is going to be about $1 billion to get the hangars and all of the infrastructure in place to accommodate this training mission. You're going to have people coming from literally all over the world for 1 to 2 to 3 year stays for training purposes. Anybody who buys F-35s, any country, any friendly country of ours, the European countries, Singapore is going to be the first group that comes in.
Yeah, and it's everything from the crews themselves to the mechanics. We're talking hundreds of people from each of those countries, and we're talking staying for 2 to 5 years, too.
You're going to have 48 F-35s parked at the Fort Smith at Ebbing Air Force Base, and it's going to be something to see and hear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as my friends in Fort Smith on my recent visit were telling me, of course, they had fighters for so many years, they got used to it, and they said, we like it. That's the sound of freedom.
That's what they
I
call
like that line.
The sound of freedom.
That is the sound of freedom. And
let me tell you, that willingness to accommodate that was key in succeeding in the attraction of that investment, that installation. The alternative was a base in Michigan. Contrast this, when they had the public hearing in Fort Smith, they had about 500 people show up, and to a person, they were supportive of the investment in the base. When they went to Michigan, they had 16 people show up, and every one of them was dead set against it coming to town.
Wow.
It was kind of game over by the time that hearing concluded. So Fort Smith has gone out and done an incredible job of marketing itself, and with the intense help of the congressional delegation, principally Senator Bozeman and Senator Cotton, but also Representative Womack, and the governors, both Governor Hutchinson and now Governor Sanders, have just been all in on making sure we land that. And it's going to transform the River Valley. Mm-hmm. You're going to see that all that Chaffee Crossing area is going to blow up in housing.
That was the next thing I was going to mention. I spent the bigger part of the day out at Chaffee Crossing, the old Fort Chaffee.
Yeah.
And it has become, and again, another thing, we can look to Arkansas and be proud nationally. It has become, they told me, one of the models in the nation now of here's how you redevelop a military installation. It's one of the most successful out of the BRAC bases that were closed in the country now for redevelopment.
Yep, it's fantastic. You got an osteopathic teaching hospital,
and they're adding colleges as they go out there.
Yeah, it's just
keep growing.
It's exciting. So Fort Smith's alive and well, and stepping on the gas. That's all you can call it.
We'll be back with more of the Southern Fried Podcast, but first, this break. Hi, Rex Nelson here. Thanks for listening so far. A lot of the topics we cover here on the Southern Fried Podcast and many more can be found on the pages of the Democrat Gazette. If you'd like to support this great newspaper's commitment to bringing you the latest in Arkansas news, sports, and entertainment, consider subscribing to the Democrat Gazette today. With your subscription, you'll get a digital edition of the newspaper every morning, along with the latest news and updates delivered to you on an iPad provided at no extra cost. You'll also get the same award-winning journalism you've come to expect from the Democrat Gazette, including my 3 weekly columns, plus exclusive photo galleries, videos, articles, and digital extras, all in the palm of your hand. As a bonus, we're offering a limited-time deal to our podcast listeners. To take advantage of this exclusive offer, click the link in the description or go to arkansasonline.com/podcast23. Welcome back to the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. All right, let's bring it home to where we're sitting right now, and that being Central Arkansas. While most of us were consumed by the pandemic, Randy, it's amazing how a company as big as Amazon can be so quiet. But they kind of quietly moved into Central Arkansas, built a huge complex at the Port of Little Rock, built a huge complex in North Little Rock. I'm told they probably now employ close to 5,000 people in Central Arkansas, which, and you tell me, but I again did some history research. The best I can tell, that's the largest job influx into Central Arkansas since the Little Rock Air Force Base opened.
I'm sure that's true.
By one entity.
I can't even think of anything that was even close. And don't forget the old jacuzzi site.
Oh yeah, and
doubled that.
And another one that, and another smaller one. Yeah, so they've got 4 facilities, employing probably 5,000. That has put us on the logistics map.
Yep.
Now you've got Dollar General building a facility. You've got Lowe's building a facility. You've got Tractor Supply building a facility. I mean,
and don't forget the Dillard's.
Oh, yeah.
E-commerce center.
So Central Arkansas now is becoming a major distribution and logistics hub for the country.
Absolutely right. Lots of jobs. And one of the things about, for instance, Amazon, they've got this incredible pay for your education program where if you're working as an employee at Amazon, they'll pay your cost to go for any post-secondary training or education you want, all the way through a 4-year degree or even master's or whatever. So it's these companies, these national companies that come in with these big distribution centers are having a huge impact.
Yeah. And then in its other sectors also, the financial sector, for instance, Central Arkansas has become a true regional banking headquarters now. As you know, before I came back here writing full-time 6 years ago, I was with Simmons Bank. And before I left, we had just bought the Axiom building in the River Market. Thought that would probably serve the job needs for 10 to 15 years. It was full in about 2 years. They filled it up. So had to start looking for new space.
Yeah.
Bought the old OZK headquarters on Chenal. Of course, OZK builds out where I live at the ranch, a magnificent corporate campus. And then you go back to that Chenal Rawling and you look at
that intersection.
You look at all the bank buildings that are going up there, multi-story, Cadence, which used to be Bancorp South, multi-story, First Community Bank,
Southern Bank. Everybody. Yeah,
Little Rock's become a true regional banking center too.
And the health. Yeah, it absolutely is. And the healthcare sector just continues to thrive. But again, every one of these things is only constrained by the lack of talent or adequate talent.
Yeah.
So the opportunities for young people in Arkansas today are just take your pick.
They really are.
And just throw a dart at a map and go wherever you want to go, and you can find incredible career opportunities.
All right. Now, listener, you're saying, all right, you hadn't done South Arkansas. Well, here we go.
Yeah,
the defense industry outside of Camden, quietly in those pine woods, the Ukrainians have been winning the war in part with weapons made in the pine woods of South Arkansas. I'm told by people in the know that our allies have given so many weapons to the Ukrainians, they've got to resupply their own stockpile. So this is not a short-term thing. This is a many-year boom. More than 3,000 employees in the defense industry now, and I understand they have hundreds of jobs open too.
At least 1,500 over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And think of the training time it takes. That's not just walk in and,
right.
Here's where you're going to work and here are your tools and go to it. You've got to really have some sophisticated, serious training to produce the kind of stuff they're making, because that's stuff that goes boom, and you don't want it to go boom at the wrong time. So there's just terrific, high-tech, high-wage, high-demand jobs by the hundreds sitting there in Camden, Arkansas.
Meanwhile, in South Arkansas, and I've done a series of columns recently on this, but the potential lithium boom. Lithium is one of the things needed in batteries for electronic vehicles. The Chinese control the world's lithium supply right now. So there's a real national security reason to get more domestic lithium production. And we think there's been a lot of work going on that we can take it out of this bromine that we've been out of the brine. We've been pulling bromine out, but the brine we've been basically injecting back into the ground for 100 years.
Yeah.
That could be gold now, Randy, if all of this works out.
They've proven the concept. I mean, Standard Lithium has been operating a test plant on the campus of Lanxess Chemical in El Dorado for about 3 years now, maybe 4.
Canadian-based company, but they now have offices in El Dorado.
They have proven the commercial viability of the whole process. So now it's a matter of scaling up. The Coke industry's investment of $100 million gives them enough change to get that plant up and going.
And I wrote a column. We also saw a big purchase by ExxonMobil.
130,000 acres.
And I wrote a column saying when the big boys, it's nothing against Standard Lithium.
Right.
But when an ExxonMobil comes in to the Smackover oil field and says, we're making the investment there, Randy, I think that sends a huge message to the rest of the energy industry, too.
No question
Exxon knows something we need to be involved in.
No question about it. So, the people in El Dorado will tell you that the lithium thing has the potential to be a lot bigger than oil ever was.
Oh, yeah. I'm told it could be this century's equivalent to the old 1920s oil buzz.
So that's, there, again, hundreds of employment opportunities. We just need people with the right attitudes and the right preparation and the right willingness to show up and do the work. So we're a magnet for employment opportunities right now from people from all over the country. And look, that's happening, by the way.
People are moving here, you're saying.
Here's a little data point for you. Clarksville did a study recently and discovered that in the last 18 months, 100 households, not people, 100 households have sprung up in Johnson County, all from California. 100 households
that's
in one county in 18 months. So people are finding Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
We've always been here in the middle of flyover country. Well, some of them are starting to take a look. And
I've had that anecdotally. I spoke last year to the annual banquet of the Dardanelle Chamber of Commerce, and I was sitting next to the Yale County judge, and he said, of course, this is good politics, but he said, any time somebody new moves into the county, I go visit them. and said you would be amazed at the number of people from California, just what you said. He said he's got them from Arizona, many of whom, because land is so cheap and our taxes are so cheap, bought the land on the internet.
Yeah.
Hadn't even seen it and moved to Arkansas. He said they're coming here. Now, this is nothing against Yale County, but that's not somewhere we think is our main tourism county, for instance, but they're moving there.
We sold our house to a guy from Colorado with a guy walking around with a cell phone in it, and he said, I'll take it.
Wow.
In Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yeah.
Had never been
Izard
there.
County.
Had never been in the house.
Wow.
Anyway.
Unbelievable. All right, we've walked across the state. We're running out of time. All these opportunities. Now, we were talking before we taped. I'm not going to let you off the hook quite yet. I grew up down in those South Arkansas pine woods we were talking about. With all the other good stuff, we're still growing trees, Randy, at about twice the rate as we need to be harvesting them for healthy forest. When are we going to find uses for that?
Well, there's fundamental research going on looking for alternative products and all sorts of things. Now remember, there have been several major investments in tuning up sawmills.
That's a good
over
point.
The last couple of years.
A lot of Canadian dollars have flown into Arkansas. Yeah.
Canadian forest products companies, they're out of trees in Canada. They've either cut them all or they're burning them up. But anyway, the southern pine timber is a great opportunity for them, and they're bringing money by the truckful down to buy old sawmills and re-equip them and tune them up and step on the production rates.
Yeah. So
we're cutting more, but we've got, as you say, we're growing a lot more than we used.
A lot faster, yeah, and it leads to unhealthy forest. It leads to forest fires. It leads to, pine beetle outbreaks and so forth. You really, really need to be thinning these forests out for a healthy forest. All right, so bottom line, we're running out of time. The economy seems to me hotter than it's ever been. The future is bright, but I guess your bottom line is, we got to find people to fill these jobs, and we got to train them for those jobs.
Well, the good news there is we've got thousands of young people in Arkansas who can step into these opportunities with better preparation. So we've got to make sure all of the workforce agencies and the education institutions, K-12 particularly, really do their job and prepare kids to step into these opportunities, because there is a wonderful future right at hand just for kids that are prepared, and we've got to do a better job of getting them ready for these jobs.
Absolutely. Randy Zook from the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce. Randy, thanks for all you're doing for our state, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Rex. Appreciate
and thank you for listening to another edition of the Southern Fried Podcast, a production of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.